Audio Frontier. Welcome to Wrestling Daft, the Marks, and I think we're all in a post-WrestleMania hangover. Only one thing for it, really. There we go. Swig a beer for the working man. I'm John, producer of Wrestling Daft and host of this show. Sitting across from me, well, not sitting across from me, sitting somewhere in his flat in Glasgow. He's a man that, when lying down, is actually longer than the length of the Edge versus Randy Orton match at WrestleMania. It's Big Alex.
Almost recovered, Big Alex, as well. I've managed to sleep my WrestleMania hangover off. I'm back fresh as a working human being again.
Good to hear, mate, because you were looking, during the WrestleMania broadcast, you were looking a little bit ropey at points.
I needed something to get through it, John, let's be honest, you know.
True. And a man who loves to drop a name more than he loves the Firefly Funhouse match is Scotland's premier wrestling journalist from Sports Key, that's Gary Cassidy.
Hello, and I'm bang the opposite. I have been watching wrestling and then waking up 5 minutes before work every day since WrestleMania the first day. So,
you must be
quite with Alex here.
You must be feeling that WrestleMania hangover worse than anyone.
Ever so slightly.
So let's get straight into it then, I guess. WrestleMania. I have to say thanks first of all to all our patrons who got involved there. We had a patron party on the Saturday night where we all sat, watched WrestleMania together, got horribly drunk. Big shout out to Scott.
No one's offended.
I know, we offended a lot of people. And big shout out to Scott, who managed 2 bottles of electric melon Mad Dog during that time. It was quite impressive feat. Lots of other people involved in that. Mark, Andrew, just a couple of those who got involved. And we also had a WrestleMania quiz before it. These are all the wonderful things that can happen if you become a Patreon, of course. Patreon.com/Wrestling Daft. WrestleMania quiz absolutely stormed at a canter by Bronze Cello, who scored, I think we had 40 questions and he scored 35 or 32 or something like that. It was ridiculous. He absolutely strode it. So get involved in our Patreon to get involved in all that. As I say, patreon.com/Wrestling Daft. But WrestleMania itself, boys, what did we think?
I have to give a big shout out to both the pre-produced matches. I would do more pre-produced matches moving forward, more of it. And I don't want to see The Undertaker in the ring. I just want to see him pre-produced video segments. Maybe even the same with The Fiend.
Yeah, so the big highlights for you, Alex, I mean, were the pre-produced matches. What about the matches that happened inside the ring?
Some of them were really good. I felt some of them were just, I don't know, I think a couple of the wrestlers don't really thrive without a crowd, and it does kind of hamper the match quality a little bit. And I think we're surprised they didn't kind of go down the AEW route and get at least a couple of fans or a couple of wrestlers in attendance, but I'm kind of the opinion they're trying desperately not to copy them at this point.
Yeah. So the highlights, obviously, then the pre-produced matches for you, Alex. What was there anything failing from or missing from WrestleMania for you?
There was quite a lot missing, really, wasn't there? I felt that a lot of their big moments, like your big Otis win, obviously Big Drew, just didn't have the same kind of carry with it, and even I say as well that I missed a lot of kind of good WrestleMania surprises, but the biggest one was all the returning legends that show up in the little backstage segments and stuff like that, because obviously they're all probably, I hate to say it,
old.
Yeah, they're in that group. They're in the danger zone, so you don't want them anywhere near, or you want them all in isolation essentially. We want them all alive for next year's WrestleMania. So that was a bit of a shame. I mean, you could have got around that with more pre-produced stuff, but again, I'm guessing that they didn't want to lean too heavily on the pre-produced stuff, and they wanted a lot of in-ring content.
Yeah. Gary, let's come to you on WrestleMania. Obviously, from your perspective, I've seen you raving, obviously, about the Firefly Funhouse match. What was WrestleMania for you this year?
I really enjoyed it. I've been saying for a while, or since the first night, that if you couldn't take something away for that you enjoyed, I'm not sure wrestling's for you, really, because I thought it was brilliant given the circumstances. Obviously, like Alex said, there was things that would have been a lot better with a crowd and felt a wee bit awkward because there wasn't a crowd there. the pre-produced matches were insane. But my main thing that I took away from it was having WrestleMania over 2 days, having the shorter shows was incredible. I don't think I got bored once during it because I was kind of conditioned into a longer event. Even with Raw was the same length as each night of WrestleMania. So I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was nicely paced both nights. I loved the pre-produced matches, but also one thing that has stuck in my head since it was the John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso match. I thought that was brilliant as well. I thought most of it was great. There was only a few things I was like, I could have done without that. So overall, a success.
Right. I think what Gary says about timing and pacing over the 2 nights, I think he's damn right about that. They got that spot on. It was well paced, and they put the right matches where the right matches should have been.
Yeah, I thought the second night actually felt a bit slower. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought the second night. I think that's largely to do with the Edge Orton match, though. Maybe.
Aye.
I think that definitely went on a bit too long, and I'm of the opinion that they shouldn't have made that a gimmick match. I think it was maybe a bit too much to ask Edge after 9 years, and they were maybe having to play it a little bit safe because they're not quite sure still how far Edge can push it.
We got a lovely tour of the Performance Centre, though, so that was good to see, you know.
But I think
26,000 square feet.
It's a bit of a shame for like some of the upcoming NXT matches, that Gargano and Ciampa are doing kind of a empty arena match, and you'd imagine that might kind of hamper what those guys can do around the back of the Performance Centre, or maybe they've kind of had to have that conversation with Edge and Orton and be like, we're going to do this, so
you're going to go this way, you go the other way.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they've done that. I'm not sure.
I honestly think that empty arena match that you talked about with Ciampa and Gargano, I think that's going to be a pre-produced number as well. You know, I heard from what Triple H, we'll come back to NXT when we get to the buddies and put overs, but from what Triple H, he said, I want to find you a building. So for me, that doesn't say Performance Centre. He just said, I'm going to find you a building and then go and let you go at it. And one man will walk out. So I think they might go for a pre-produced number, like falling off the back of obviously the success they've had there at the weekend. I think they might go for a pre-produced number on that.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I think you know that was the big win. I mean, at the weekend, that's all everyone is talking about. It's Firefly Funhouse. We'll get into a bit more of that later on because I'd love to get your opinion on it, Gary. Right, so let's give it the Meltzer out of 5 stars. Gary, we'll come to you first. What are you giving it?
I'm saying 4.5. I think there was that much I liked about it. That it wasn't perfect. Of course, it wasn't. It was never going to be. Obviously, I'm scoring it to a different level than I normally would because the crowd wasn't there and stuff. But considering what I expected and what we got, I think it needs to be a 4 to a 4.5, and I'm going to leave it a 4.5.
Alex?
I'd come in at about a 3.5. I think I enjoyed less of the wrestling content than Gary did, but things to do with the circumstances, a couple of the standout matches, and the overall balance of the show, I think does have to rank it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I think after night one, I think it was just because I was so drunk on night one that I kind of went, oh, this is rubbish. I gave like 2 stars, but I think by the end of the event, I kind of looked back at it and went, actually, you know, it's going back to what you say. It's like what they did with what they had. You know, you've got to take that into context. And, so I'd go with you 3.5. I'd go with you on a 3.5 for it because it was cracking. I mean, I think it was big. I mean, there was parts of it you can obviously criticise. I mean, the Braun Strowman Goldberg match, which was exactly the same. Gronk in general. But, you know, it was really weird because obviously they kind of mirrored the title match. He's kind of mirrored each other. But I think it was because obviously there was a story behind Drew and that moment that you were so more invested than as opposed to Braun who just turned up and took the title, you know.
I think also the placement on the card, because I think Drew had to finish the pay-per-view, but having anything on after the Firefly Funhouse match was putting it in a bit of a difficult position. So yeah. I think it had to be a quick match after that. But it's insane just how much of a different reaction you get for 2 identical matches online.
It really was. So yeah, I thought there was, you know, matches on there that were unnecessary. You know, the Otis, you know, that moment with Otis. Imagine if a crowd had been there, it would have been phenomenal.
I thought you were about to say that was unnecessary.
No.
Listen, I completely disagree with that.
As I said on the Patreon party, fat lads everywhere are loving Otis just now. He's the new pin-up. I mean, if it means maybe one day there's hope for us all getting our very own Mandy, you know. So yeah, I actually thought, like you guys are saying, what they did with what they had was really, really well done. And I went in as the biggest cynic into that WrestleMania, and I came out with a smile on my face. And you've got to applaud everyone at WWE, the production staff, the creative, the wrestlers themselves, because it was a great show. It just left you with a smile on your face, you know, in these days when you can't see any other sports. It was the one thing that was still there for you. So, you know, I think I was very critical of Vince last week on my promo, but I'm taking it all back now and saying, well done. Well done.
I think they did consider that into their booking this time. They definitely wanted to make it more of a happier show. And, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, if this is kind of how they're signing things off for the next couple of weeks or not.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll get into that when we talk about Raw and the Barrier putovers. But just going through some of the listeners' reactions to the event itself. Mikey comes out in a 5 out of 5 when we're putting out the Meltzers. He's putting over the last man standing match, which I personally wouldn't have put over. Brutal to watch, but also good to see the Performance Centre and the whole setup. Buddy COVID-19 for denying Drew that ultimate pop. Pablo's Vocal Horror is giving it a 5 as well. Buddy Tamina still dressing like a Klingon warrior. Putting over Bray Wyatt and John Cena's batshit Firefly Funhouse. Now, but before we move on, let's get into the Firefly Funhouse. Going back and rewatching it and seeing all the analysis online, it was like a David Lynch movie. It was like totally just out of there. But, you know, it was so smartly done. The fact it was like Cena facing all his fears. Because you didn't get that. You're sitting watching this going, oh, look, he's coming dressed as the NWO. Oh. And you're just, you know, then you go back in and analyse it. You go, fucking, that's really smart. Really smart. Gary, you've looked a bit more into this, haven't you?
I think, obviously, I think calling it a match is a bit odd, but if we say it's a match, I think it is the most rewatchable match I've ever seen. And probably the most bizarre match I've ever seen as well. I think it even beats like Total Nonstop Deletion, which was there beforehand. But I just, when I was watching it at the time, I was kind of trying to add up things in my head while watching it. Again, had to go back and watch it, and when I went back and watched it, it all started clicking into place about it being John Cena facing his own fears and projecting his insecurities onto the Fiend. I think the end was phenomenal when Bray Wyatt's finally getting the win and echoing in your through the audio as the most overrated, overprivileged WWE superstar in existence. Genius, and I just think is knowing that Bray Wyatt and John Cena had a big hand. I think we're going to talk about that later, but had a big hand in it. Knowing that John Cena okayed everything, specifically the Nikki Bella stuff.
Exactly, I was going to say that. The Nikki Bella stuff was like, I didn't get that. I didn't pick up on that at the time, but I was like, whoa,
Some of it, wasn't it?
I know, but it was just beautiful. You know, you look back at it and go, wow, you know, that whole ending where he's beating up the pig and realises that he's turned heel and that look in his face, and then the Fiend just coming up from behind, just brilliant. It
was the references to Hogan I really liked, and the way they even had him. I mean, Kyle O'Reilly will be very upset that he stole his guitar spot.
Yeah,
Hogan was doing it 20 years before O'Reilly, but it's O'Reilly's now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's carry on with some of the listeners' responses to WrestleMania. Alan Delisle, who was on our Patreon party, thanks for joining us, Alan. 3.5, I'd actually have to bury the Drew match. Deserved the longer, a bit more action, rather than having Claymore kicks and F5s every few seconds. I would like to have seen them went longer with that and a bit more in there, but I can agree with that.
Yeah, I'd have taken 10 minutes off the Edge Orton match and shoved it onto that one personally.
Yeah, absolutely. David Graham, 4 out of 5, put over Drew, obviously, and Nikki Cross for doing all the hard work just for Alexa to finish the match, and Buddy and Elias versus Corbin, pointless match with no interest in it. I think we're all agreed on that. That just wasn't great. And we didn't have the Gronk run-in that you predicted, Alex, wasn't it? Did you predict the Gronk?
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't do anything with that, but I guess they did the 24/7 stuff with Gronk instead, so...
Yeah. Sean gives it 3.5 out of 5. Put over Drew, obviously, but also the Boneyard match, burning the commentators during the Edge Orton match, and anything involving Gronk. Yeah, that's fair. I noticed Tom Phillips did get quite tight on Twitter off a lot of fans for his commentating on the Orton match, but it went on too long, didn't it? It was far too long.
Speaking of Gronk, did you notice he was wearing the same clothes for both nights?
Aye.
Yes. Aye. Yeah. As I said on the Patreon party, he looked like a really messed up version of Carol Baskins from what he was wearing. Alan Marshall putting over The Undertaker versus Styles, the guts of the performers to participate in the current situation, and Buddy and Vinnie Mac for running the show in the current situation, and also Edge touching every surface in the performance centre, and Gronk, get him to fuck. Chris Vid 19 put over all those in the show in front and behind the camera, far exceeded our expectations, and Buddy the Last Man Standing for lasting too long. Big Mad Andy 5 out of 5 again. Tom Phillips on comms puts you to sleep certainly during that Last Man Standing match, and putting over NWO Cena. Didn't know how much I needed that in my life. Yep, we're all in agreement with that. And finally, Stuart Brody 4 out of 5 put her over Undertaker being just cool as fuck. Drew bringing the title home, and Buddy the ref begging Orton not to kill Edge, then saying nothing to Edge during the concerto. They both have families. Also, the ref not counting the pins during the figure 8. So, fair points, well made there, guys. So, summing up WrestleMania, generally, I think you two, quite happy about it.
Delighted. Yeah. I'll probably go back and watch it at some point. I think it was that good, and I don't think I felt that way about an entire WrestleMania for maybe ever.
Yeah.
I think they did fine. They did fine.
That's always.
They did fine. Which for them is really good.
Yeah. Fair play. So on the show today, we'll be looking back at the shows prior to WrestleMania, and we'll be looking back at the Raw after WrestleMania. It should be interesting. We'll be burying and putting over stuff from that. Gary has got all the news from the business. There's not much going on at the moment, but we'll bring you what we've got. I'm going to be on Fantasy Booking Island, where I am booking post-Mania AJ Styles.
I hope there's a storyline to how he gets out of the dirt. Well, if you just look it back casually, I'm going to be very disappointed.
We'll look into that on Fantasy Booking Island. And wrestler, promoter, trainer, seller of merchandise, and metal detector extraordinaire, Kid Fite will tell us about some of his favourite things in wrestling in the 10 count. Okay then, it's time to open a can of whoop-ass on wrestling as we hand over the microphone and cut a promo. And this week, it's Gary Cassidy.
This kind of follows on for a lot of stuff we've said, and kind of also follows on for a promo I cut before on here. People are going to think I'm just taking a shot at WWE fans. This time I'm not. I'm also adding a couple of journalists into the bargain as well.
Ooh!
Like we said,
on your own!
Like we said earlier, I think if you came away for this WrestleMania without a smile on your face, you maybe just shouldn't be watching wrestling. We already knew going in it wasn't going to be like any other WrestleMania. We had no crowd. We'd already said, any title changes that happen is kind of robbing someone of a moment. WWE, for me, backs against the walls. They done everything to make it a good show, and I think they delivered 100%. But I'm still seeing so many people moaning online about some of the things. One of the most annoying ones that always comes up, so I mean it's gone to the bottom of the list, is people saying that somebody's buried. Rhea Ripley is not buried. Rhea Ripley had an amazing, lengthy match with Charlotte Flair. There was the choice to either put Rhea Ripley over and then it builds her, it makes her more legitimate, or you can have Charlotte Flair win, and she is essentially came in, won the Royal Rumble, chose to go to NXT and won the NXT Championship, and that's going to put over the entire TV show of NXT. Rhea Ripley is not buried. Rhea Ripley is very young. She'll have a lot more time to get that win back, to do whatever, and she looked incredible during that match as well. The only person buried during WrestleMania was AJ Styles, and that's the only answer I'll take on that one. The other thing that has really, really annoyed me, and this is less of fans saying it, this is one particular journalist, and Rudo Lightning, if he's listening, might agree with me here, I think. It's Dave Meltzer. He gets a lot of criticism. Normally, I try and kind of defend that criticism because I think he does get a raw deal sometimes. This time, I can't defend him. Two things he said during WrestleMania really, really irked me. The first one was halfway through the second night, he put up saying, the Snickers commercial was the best thing that's happened in WrestleMania so far, or the only good thing happened, I think he said. I thought everything up until then was really good on the second show for a start. Maybe the Edge Orton match, maybe it did go on a wee bit too long, but everything else was quite good up until that point. And the other thing that he picked up on was indeed that Edge Randy Orton match. He's gave it 1 star and said it's the worst WrestleMania match of all time. Now, I really respect how long Dave Meltzer's been in the business, but knowing how long he's been in the business it makes you know that he's seen matches such as Akabono versus Big Show, Kane versus Khali, Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, Butterbean versus Bart Gunn, King Kong Bundy versus SD Jones, Michael Cole against Jerry the King Lawler, and of course the debut of Snooki for, what was it, Jersey Shore? So I've just rhymed off a lot of worst WrestleMania matches there. And that's before we even get into this year. I don't think Edge versus Randy Orton was the worst match on this WrestleMania.
No.
Sure, it went a wee bit long, but I think it hit everything it had to hit. And I actually think if you made up a 10-minute, 15-minute video package for that match, it would look like an incredible match. So I just think, he's trying to be the guy that, he says something just to be controversial. I'm not going to compare him to the likes of Donald Trump or Katie Hopkins, but I think he's the wrestling equivalent of Donald Trump and Katie Hopkins with what he said this weekend.
What about Jim Cornette, Gary? What about Jim Cornette?
Let's not even get started on Jim Cornette. No, I think he's just trying to be controversial. I completely disagree with everything he's said. And again, what a lot of fans have said about certain wrestlers being buried and complaining about certain matches. It's fine to dislike things. Of course it is. There's a lot of things I wasn't a big fan of over WrestleMania weekend. Goldberg being one of them, but there was a few others as well that I was like, okay, I didn't need that. But I think just digging into things like that and saying like off the cuff, trying to be funny comments like the Snickers commercial was the best thing about WrestleMania is just no right. I think people sometimes do just like, they don't see the entertainment, they don't see what people are doing, they just want to go online and have a moan. And again, like I'll go back to my last promo, get themselves over. No need, be a fan, enjoy it. If you didn't see something during that WrestleMania weekend that you enjoyed, I don't think any wrestling is for you.
Here. Couldn't say it better myself.
So long and short, Dave Meltzer, retire.
So it's that time in the show where we look back at wrestling television from the week as we bury and put over things from the shows. 2 buries, 2 put-overs, and we pick out match of the night as well. So we're going to get back in our DeLorean and go back to a time before WrestleMania, before Firefly Funhouse matches, before Boneyard matches, before Otis got a Mandy. Oh, I love that moment. Let's go to AEW from last Wednesday and head to our AEW resident expert, Big Alex.
Before we get into this week's show, I need to quickly put them over for something else in general.
Right. Go.
So I watched the Edge 24/7, the WWE 24 Edge documentary.
Oh, that was good, yeah. Enjoyed that.
And at one point, he essentially kind of goes, the only real reason he went and got all the tests was because Cody and that approached him. So without them doing that, we wouldn't have got the Edge return at WrestleMania. So I've got to put them over for that first.
Yeah, but I mean, that's pure Vince, isn't it? That's pure Vince. It's like somebody else is sniffing about him, so let's go and get him.
I believe the quote from Vince was, "Well, it has to happen here," which I liked. I thought it was very on.
Yeah.
But getting into the actual show from this week, first of all, going to put over an actual wrestler just straight off the bat. Trent, he's been fantastic pretty much since AEW started. I mean, I haven't seen him in a singles match in years, up until maybe a couple of months ago he was on one. And of course he wrestled Kenny at the start of this show, and it was just match of the night straight off the bat. Another fantastic kind of dark match from Kenny, and he just looked excellent. He made Trent look excellent, and Trent very much proved he can hang with Kenny Omega.
Yeah. I think he got lost. I mean, he was obviously in WWE. Trent Barretta, he was
formerly known as Beretta. Yeah, now he's just Trent.
Yeah, but he got lost in the shuffle there because I saw him when he came into WWE, and I thought this guy looks decent. Just one of these ones that's just kind of lost in the shuffle, isn't it?
He's got the look. Like, I mean, people were talking about Jinder a couple of years ago, just having the body that Vince is really into. You look at Trent, and surely that's the type of body Vince is completely into. He's well chiseled, and he's got the skills. So Yeah, a surprising one, but no, he's been excellent. He's been excellent, and the whole Best Friends Orange Cassidy's definitely been one of the AEW highlights since they've started.
Oh
so
yeah, absolutely.
100% on that. Secondly, I'm going to have to go back to, do you know what I mean? I'm finding it really difficult to not put Jericho over every week, but I'm going to put over one specific Jericho moment that really pushed it this week, and that was during the Vanguard 1 promo at what my flatmate is calling the Mushroom Palace, since it is the Palace of Les Champions. And just the moment where he shouted, "Release the hounds," and then you got 5 of Jericho's little kind of comedy dogs just chasing out after Vanguard 1. I thought it was excellent. It was just great.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, they were making the segments. He's just got a knack for making segments genuinely funny. And a lot of wrestling segments really try to be funny and just don't get over the line. But he's just every week he's just absolutely nailing it.
Man, he's a master of it all, Jericho. And what are your buddies from this week? Can you find any? Because I know you're such a mark for AEW.
I've got a few, and I'm going to be really good and not bury the Brody Lee promo again because that's easy. So first of all, I know Rab's going to hate me for burying something to do with Dustin Rhodes, but the concept of the Natural Nightmares, I don't get it, right? I'm all good for the tag team of QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. I get that they're using Dustin to get QT over, and it's a good push for him. But the whole concept behind the tag team, the nightmare part of it, as far as I'm concerned, that's just Cody. I don't know why that's now being attached to Brandy, since we had the Nightmare Collective, and now we've got the Natural Nightmares. So I just don't get that part of it, and it's just a bit rubbish to me. They could do it a lot better, really, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure last week I put over their booking of the big guys, but I need to bury it this week because booking Lance Archer against Marco Stunt for his debut match is just fucking stupid. I get they wanted to do an Uber squash, and I get they obviously didn't have any local talent available because of the restrictions, so Marco kind of makes sense. But it was just last week you had Cody saying on commentary that he doesn't deserve to face him yet, and he's going to go and prove himself. And the match he gives him is Marco Stunt.
Yeah,
just not great for me. Just not great. Although I did like the spot where he choked slammed him into just tossed him off the ring into the crowd. But yeah, it just wasn't. This kind of went against quite a lot of their booking, in my opinion.
And match of the night for you, my friend?
Yeah, the opener, Trent versus Kenny.
Yeah, obviously. Right, I'll come to NXT then from last Wednesday. Let's start with the put-overs. Dexter Lumis, Samuel Shaw from Impact Wrestling. Was he Lupus in TNA? I think he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him as Samuel Shaw, but I think it was Lupus, yeah.
Yeah, this guy's going to be big. I love the gimmick they've got. It's like this kind of mad serial killer. The whole presentation of it, the whole not blinking, the entrance music, the whole total psychopath kind of thing. I think this guy's going to go all the way, and he's got to look decent in the ring as well. But it was the gimmick that I was immediately kind of drawn into. Oh, and he was fighting. Oh God, who was he fighting? The guy who's just come in as well. He was making his debut. Oh, that's terrible. I can't even remember. He came.
You need to start writing this down.
I know. I know.
Whichever one's easier.
Anyway, it was the guy. He was in California wrestling. I can't even remember. He was big
Jake
there.
Atlas.
Yes, Jake Atlas. Thank you, Gary. I knew I could rely on you. I was fighting Jake Atlas, who was debut, but
not casually looking at his phone there.
But I know. I think he looks like he will be a good prospect in NXT and beyond that. I think just the whole gimmick, I can see him going far in it. Got to put over, I was burying it last week, the gauntlet match to get into the ladder match, but it did that on NXT this week, and it just, you sit back and admire how stacked. Now, Charlotte's go ahead into NXT as well. How stacked that women's division is in NXT. Even the talent that's, in this, getting used in this gauntlet match looked great. Shotzi came out looking brilliant in it. You're
well into Shotzi right now. Every week, you're just big up to Shotzi. Is there something just about that comment here that just gets you really excited?
But you look at the talent they have down there. It's incredible, and adding Charlotte into the mix for that. Well, Bianca Belair, we'll get to Raw in a minute, but at least Bianca Belair is going the other way. But the card down there is completely stacked in the women's division, and you can see it's just it's going to be a drip feed of talent for the years to come. So really, really strong there. And burying, right? Let's just get to the burying. Sam Roberts. How annoying is Sam Roberts? Like, really, I mean, Christ almighty. That guy who was Pete Rosenberg, who was doing the WrestleMania, you think he was annoying? Fuck me. Wait to hear Sam Roberts in co-commentary on NXT last week. Oh, my God. Do you know who it reminds me of? It's just his voice. And next time you hear Sam Roberts, listen to his voice and think of the wee scientist guy from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the wee
Finkel or whatever his name is.
Yes,
Professor Frank.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's Sam Roberts right there. Honestly, he put him on car commentary, and he doesn't know his arse from his. Just terrible. So, burying Sam Roberts on commentary on that one. Handshaking in the ring. There was a handshake in the ring, right? And these times of self-isolation. Now, I'm at the best of times. I'm not up for a handshake because I don't like that. I don't like that. You
don't like sportsmanship, John. You don't like sportsmanship. That's what you're saying.
You're meant to be fighting as wrestlers. You don't shake hands. You go at it.
Have you ever been to a martial arts tournament of any kind?
They bow. They bow. I expect that's a mark of respect. But shaking.
So you're okay with bowing, but you don't like handshaking, truly?
Yeah, that's fine. But it was Kushida and Joaquin Wilde, who was still had ridiculous headgear on. Oh, and I need to add, there was another kidnapping. Which just kind of no one bothered about, as well as Joaquin Wilde got thrown into the back of a motor by two conquistadors. So yeah, more kidnapping and more crime on NXT. But yeah.
So I'm assuming that's building to a new angle. They're loving the ridiculous things now of hackers and kidnapping, and would we say they don't have adventurous storylines?
Yeah, exactly. So kidnapping in NXT, and match of the night. It wasn't great. I think they missed the crowd, but I've got to put through over the three big horses for the North American title, the main event with what's his face.
Beef versus bigger beef.
Big beef. Dominic Dijakovic versus Keith Lee versus Blinken, the Archer of Infamy.
That's not his name, John. You know his name is Punishment Rodriguez.
Punishment Rodriguez, Damien Priest. The Archer of Infamy is the worst moniker ever in the history of wrestling, by the way. But yeah, so that was match of the night. It would have been. I think it really missed the crowd on it. I think those two guys really need to have a crowd behind them, especially by Keith. But match of the night for NXT. Right then, so that was my burying putovers from this week. Gary, the Raw after WrestleMania, how did the WWE deal with this one? It's historically the greatest Raw of the year. Comebacks, things happening, drafts up from NXT. How did it go this week?
I can tell you it definitely was not the greatest Raw of the year, but we kind of knew that was going to be the case anyway, just because of, the unprecedented circumstances. Unprecedented. The past, but no, it was still quite good. I'll start with the berries, just because I think that the putovers are a wee bit better than the berries, in all honesty.
Yeah, we should probably take that on as under notice, John, and start with the berries instead of the putovers. The thing I want to bury, annoyingly, there was a lot of good things about this thing, but how overly elaborate and complicated the Street Profits segment was. It wasn't necessary. It was 35 minutes long. It was nearly as long as the Edge Orton match. We knew where it was going straight away. As soon as they had the Street Profits come out and Angel Garza and Austin Theory come out, for a start, I hate when they say WrestleMania rematch. You don't need a WrestleMania rematch any time ever unless it's like a massive match. You definitely didn't need one for this thrown together match anyway. But as soon as we seen them coming out, after knowing what happened at WrestleMania with Bianca Belair and Zelina Vega, you know where it's going. And then when you see Zelina Vega
wearing a ring gear to accompany them to the ring. You know what's happening? As soon as that happened, I'm going, right, we're getting a 6-person tag team match. Then they disqualify Zelina pulled the leg of whatever Montez Ford or Angelo Dawkins. Can't even remember. It was that forgettable. Pulled the leg of them, disqualification. And then they start, or they don't start the match again, sorry. They start a new match between Zelina Vega and then Bianca Belair, who came out and done her entrance, even though she was making a save, which surely you just run to the ring and make the save. So it just made no sense. But they done that. They had her come out and make her save. They had Zelina versus Bianca Belair, which got disqualified because Montez Ford and, again, one of either Angel Garza or Austin Theory were brawling in the ring next to them. There was no need for the disqualification for a start. It made me think, do we need a general manager on Raw? Which is the terrible idea, because who needs general managers? They normally are terrible unless they're William Regal. But it was like, no, this just makes no sense. And then we finally got to the 6-person tag team match. And by that point, I'd lost all interest anyway. So it was just like, what a waste of everything. It killed a lot of time, which was the main thing.
Exactly. That's exactly why they did it.
But the main... I just say the only... Oh, sorry, I was just going to say the main bury comes actually after the match. It's not all that complex stuff. The main bury is Bianca Belair cut a promo at Zelina Vega while facing the hard cam with Zelina Vega behind her in shot. And then the full thing was about Zelina Vega, but her back was to Zelina Vega, and then turned around afterwards. And I'm going, you've pre-recorded this. Surely you could cut that so that she is cutting the promo to the camera, but it looks like she's cutting it to Zelina Vega. The full thing was just nonsensical, and I absolutely hated it.
Right, okay.
just to interject, right? The only WrestleMania rematch we ever needed was HBK versus Cena, the 60-minute Iron Man match they did after, what was it, like 24? And that was because it was that.
Well, the other bury is, I've been burying these for the past few weeks, and I actually kind of cut off my own nose to spite my face with this one, because when Aleister Black came out this week, I was like, he better not be having another enhancement match. And I made the joke, I pray to the Monday Night Messiah that he's not going to have another enhancement match. And then who has the enhancement match but the Monday Night Messiah? With Seth Rollins an enhancement match. All the people that don't need an enhancement match, you could put Seth Rollins against probably about 80% of the roster and have him either squash them or win pretty emphatically, and they'd do bat an eyelid because he's Seth Rollins. So it was just, what's the point? Like Alex said earlier about Lance Archer and Marco Stunt, AEW didn't have the luxury of bringing an enhancement. I wish WWE didn't have that luxury, because we don't need enhancement matches unless it's to somebody, and Seth Rollins doesn't need built up.
100%. It just seems like it's a waste of time, and I don't understand why they are using local talent right now. It just seems to be endangering people they don't need to endanger.
Aye, hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Where do you think Rollins is going to go then, Gary? What do you think? What's his next? I'm assuming that's Owens that's done now. So
that has to be that has to be gone. The weird thing is, we've still not seen Buddy Murphy. Obviously, AOP are at the window, but we've still not seen Buddy Murphy, so who knows? But obviously, Seth Rollins is still doing this character, so the idea. I don't know if WWE knows, and as we know, that's when we end up with the worst things that ever happen, is when they don't know where they're going. So hopefully, it has a direction that we just haven't seen yet.
I wonder if they'll put him in the title picture against Drew.
I wouldn't mind that. Aye, that'd be quite good. I wouldn't mind that.
I think they'd get some good matches out of that as well.
Yeah, the thing is, did they not just do that kind of last year? That's the only thing that kind of come to. So, right, okay then. Moving on to the put-overs then. What are you putting over this week?
Pretty simple. Good matches.
Good matches?
We all like seeing good matches, so I need to put over WWE when they put on good, lengthy matches. The first one was Liv Morgan versus Asuka, and I was just going to put over Liv Morgan because I think she's the most improved talent of 2020. I think she's taken over the role of what Lacey Evans kind of did last year, where it's like every time I see her, I'm like, I didn't realise she was actually that good in the ring. And I'm going, at some point, it's going to be my problem that I didn't notice she was that good in the ring. But Liv Morgan versus Asuka was a brilliant match to kick off Raw. It was a match I wouldn't have probably really cared about a few months ago. You know, there's no storyline there. There's nothing I really want to see about it. But because they've made Liv Morgan this intriguing, because of her win over Natalya at WrestleMania, I was invested in the match before it started, and it delivered. And the other good match that I'm just chucking these into one is Aleister Black versus Apollo Crews. As soon as I seen Apollo Crews coming out, I feared the worst. I was like, right, it's an enhancement match, but it's got Apollo Crews in it rather than enhancement talent. They let them go for half an hour, and it was a brilliant match. And for that match alone, I feel like I know more about Apollo Crews than I have for the entirety of his WWE run, because I've always said he's an amazing talent, but we know absolutely heal about him, apart from he's an amazing talent and he likes smiling. He's kind of stopped smiling, which is good. It looks like he's getting an aggressive streak, and I thought that was brilliant. Two amazing matches. They were lengthy matches, and they ate up a big chunk of the programme without boring me. The second put over, I'm again just going to put over WWE for doing something really different. So they kind of set me up for disappointment and didn't disappoint me, which is where I'm going with this one. They said for the entire show that they were going to show us something breaking that happened after WrestleMania, after Drew McIntyre won the title. And for the full time, my mind was racing as to what it could be, but I thought it was going to be something really boring, because we normally know this. If WWE is we've got a mystery opponent, it's normally always Kane or Dolph Ziggler. It was always the way. You'd always get, it's not actually going to be a mystery opponent we care about. It's going to be something we've seen other times. And I was like, what could it be? And the one thing I thought it was going to be, I thought they were going to show Brock Lesnar maybe shaking Drew McIntyre's hand, maybe embrace him, maybe proclaim him as the face of WWE or something like that, which would have been fine. What I didn't expect was for us to get the only WrestleMania too big for one night to become the only WrestleMania too big for 2 nights, because we get another WrestleMania main event and the Big Show interrupting Drew McIntyre, and then us getting a match between Drew McIntyre and the Big Show, which was better than Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. So they had me hooked for that full thing. And again, I love a swerve, and this was what everything I've said about the Firefly Funhouse is that it's amazing because it was extremely self-aware. I'm not sure if this was deliberate or not, but I think almost everyone watching that in the back of their mind would have had the Big Show is going to win this, because the Big show's just been released on Netflix and they're going to put the title on the Big Show to advertise the show on Netflix at the end of Raw. It was the one thing that was racing in my mind. And of course, it's no beyond the realms of possibility that WWE put a title on Drew McIntyre and then take it off him 20 minutes later and show it the next night. So I was genuinely worried. I genuinely thought Drew McIntyre wasn't going to retain the title. And I think it's amazing. Wrestling's great when it's unpredictable, and due to what we think at WWE's booking, they made that match a really enjoyable match between Drew McIntyre and the Big Show, which again isn't something I thought I would say. So I'm just putting them over for being different and giving us something that was pretty exciting to end Raw.
Oh, come on, Gary. Predictable. The Big Show's turned heel again, for God's sake. And there was surely...
I do like Gary's stance on that.
There was surely...
stance that we got played by the...
I thought Big Show was winning, I won't lie. And also Drew McIntyre done the Roman Reigns kick out, where it's like, it was very almost 3 when he got his arm up, and I was like, oh man, you've sold me.
Yeah, fair. But right, okay, match of the night then.
Again, I can't choose one. I need to give it a joint match of the night between Liv Morgan, Asuka, and Aleister Black, Apollo Crews. They were both amazing for different reasons. If you made me choose, actually, I think I would say Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, just because I didn't expect it to be so lengthy and so competitive, and it does a lot for both people. Apollo Crews needed a good showing. Aleister Black needs to stop squashing talents, because otherwise we'll just get bored of him. So we'll go for Apollo Crews, Aleister Black.
They need to get him in the mid-card title run, don't they? Aleister Black. They need to put him in the hunt for the mid-card, the US title, you know.
I wouldn't mind if they put him straight into the main event picture against
Yeah.
Drew. I wouldn't mind it. Don't want Drew to lose the title that quickly, and again, I don't really want Aleister Black to lose that match, but it would intrigue me that much that I wouldn't really mind seeing it.
Because surely they couldn't do Andrade versus Black, because they like to lean into real life couples, and they'd have to mention that Black's actually married to Vega.
That could be awkward. You're right. Yeah. And remember, we want your buddy and put-overs. We're going to do a WrestleMania special on the flagship show with Rab and Grado this week. So get your buddy and put-overs in for Rab and Grado. You can do that at our Twitter, at Wrestling Daft, on Insta, at Wrestling Daft Podcast, and just Wrestling Daft on Facebook. And the boys will certainly try and read them out this week. Right, okay, the world is full of bad news at the moment, but it's also filled with wrestling news, though there's not a lot of that as well. He's been very quiet at the moment, Gary, in terms of his journalistic times. But is there any news out there which we can report on, Gary?
Kinda, I guess. Sadly, it's all the same kind of stuff that we've been talking about for the past few weeks. Everything revolving around what's happening in the world just now. So annoyingly, it all ties into world news, I guess. There's been nothing in the way of great fun. I've been kind of out on the sides. I've seen the interviews because obviously WWE are only concentrating on the main things they can do now, which is the global things. But the big question I guess everybody is asking is, are we going to keep seeing AEW and WWE putting on shows? AEW is a yes. They have stopped doing live stuff. They've kind of shut down now. That's something that came out the past few days. But they've got a load in the can. We spoke last week about the TNT Championship tournament that's coming up. They've got all that filmed. They've got a load of other stuff filmed. I don't know just how much they've got filmed and how long they can shut down for and keep putting out shows. But it looks like they've got a fair whack in the can. WWE, on the other hand, apparently have intentions to just keep going. So last night's Raw was filmed last week, I think, almost 2 weeks ago now, around the same time as WrestleMania. Weirdly, apparently most of it was filmed before WrestleMania, but that was pre-recorded. NXT this week is apparently pre-recorded. SmackDown is said to be live. That came from WrestleVotes, who are always pretty on the ball. Even when they've not been on the ball, it's normally been roughly in the ballpark or thereabouts, or it's came out later that they were on the ball and things get changed. So SmackDown's meant to be live. Next week's Raw is meant to be live. Who knows how it's happening? Because, of course, WWE, the Performance Center is in Orlando, which there's a kind of an order put out for no gatherings in Orlando just now. So who knows if they've got an exemption. There was a weird and wacky rumour flying about online that Vince McMahon was planning on buying his own island so that he didn't have any restrictions. Hopefully he does it and it's a fantasy booking island. That would be good if he wants to reside there. But apparently that was a rumour. I don't think that is true, but again, you'd never put it past Vince McMahon.
I'm going to believe that. I'm going to believe that. It's the fun of it. That's great. That's the best thing I've heard since this COVID thing came out. That's fantastic. That's made this week.
But I think you never know, but I'm going to say that's certainly not true for what I know anyway. I think that's the coldest take I can give. But apparently they're planning on still doing live content.
Right, okay, I might have an answer for you.
For the Performance Centre. Yeah.
I'm just checking. I've just went and Googled states that aren't in lockdown. So I'm guessing this is what he could do, is move it to a state that isn't in lockdown and get an empty Iowa, I don't think it's in lockdown. Arkansas, New England. Oh, I can't. Okay, Utah, Wyoming, Oklahoma, and North Carolina. I don't think are on.
Of course, North Carolina's not on lockdown.
Well, that was the thing where Georgia wasn't last week, and that's a lot of people think that AEW was recorded in Georgia, but that has since gone into lockdown. So I think that might be a wee hint as to why they've closed down operations now.
Yeah, so I think he'll just move it round the states that aren't in lockdown until they're all locked down, and then he'll buy the island.
What about Puerto Rico? I mean, Puerto Rico's not very far away and it's still technically part of the States, or like Guam or something like that. I don't know.
Alaska.
Oh, surely Alaska's in lockdown. Maybe Alaska's a sensible.
A lot of empty space in Alaska. Anyway, sorry, Gary. We'll continue as we wildly speculate where the wrestling might take place. What else has been happening?
Well, that was obviously that news is about there being shows happening with zero fans. But the next bit of news was that a super fan, again, I don't know how legitimate the term super fan is here, but this person has been interviewed and has said that apparently WWE had an initial plan in place to have some fans in the building for WrestleMania. There's no consensus or nothing anywhere as to how many fans they were planning on having. This is for somebody called Superfan Ringside Charlie. I think, I don't know who Ringside Charlie is personally. I'm not well versed with the fans apart from the one with the Everton top that John hates and the guy in the green t-shirt. So I don't think it wasn't them. I seen a photo of the guy. It wasn't any of them. But this was for Sports Illustrated, so you've got to think it's got some kind of legitimacy, unless they're just saying, well, if it's a lie, then it's on this fan anyway. But he'd said that apparently WWE had planned to bring in a limited number of fans, but obviously the health measures in place meant they couldn't. He said a couple of people internally wanted them to come, but again, no news on who that is, wrestlers, staff, crew members, anybody. But apparently they were already at capacity with a number of production staff. And he said that he would have been there, which I'm sure he would have, because being the only fan or one of the only fans in the building for WrestleMania, no matter what the health warning is, I know a lot of people would have jumped at that. Again, who knows? I'm pretty glad they didn't. I think personally, having 5 fans in the crowd would have been absolutely terrible because they'd, like I said a few weeks ago, tried to get themselves over. So, so I'm kind of glad they didn't.
And at least AEW is the wrestlers at the side of the ring who they can script, you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of glad they didn't, but at the same time, I'm also glad they didn't do that with Gronk. I thought they'd just have Gronk at the side of the ring for the full 3 hours each night, and I'm very glad they didn't have him cheering along. All bit of news that came, all bit of news that came out yesterday. I want a percentage of whatever Michael Cole's earning, because I put a tweet saying it was somebody that deserved a lot more credit, and then a few hours later, it came out for PW Insider that he's got a promotion in the company. Don't really know what the promotion means. Vice President of Announcing. Again, I'm not sure if there is a president of announcing or if
I was going to ask that question.
It might be something that's consumed within another job role. You'd have to think it's probably going to be Vince McMahon or Triple H is probably the president of announcing. Who knows? But Michael Cole's apparently now the vice president of announcing. For the past few years, he has been doing a lot of the production side, specifically with NXT, where he's been the person that has been the Vince McMahon that's been relaying stuff back to them. Who knows if it's any different? But apparently he's got a promotion of sorts. Hopefully he's getting paid more, because I think he's been carrying the commentary for the past few weeks. I think he's been absolutely incredible, specifically on SmackDown with having other wrestlers interact with him and stuff. So that's some exciting backstage stuff. Another bit of exciting backstage stuff. How many times have we mentioned the Firefly Funhouse match this episode? Needs to be mentioned again. So the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match, obviously a lot of people have been talking about them. It was pretty obvious for the Boneyard match that Jeremy Borash had something to do with it. Everybody kind of knows that he's went for Impact to WWE over the last year, and he had a big hand in a lot of the Matt Hardy stuff. There weren't like massive comparisons, but just because it was a conceptual match with the realms of the WWE universe, I guess, or outside the arena, people were like, Jeremy Borash definitely had a hand in that. Well, he definitely did. He was one of the names that had a massive say in it. But apparently Michael Hayes was the big name, which was one I didn't expect to be the big name that was doing the production for that. And Triple H was heavily involved in the planning, but that's just par for the course now. We expect him to be. And yeah, Jeremy Borash, of course, like Broken Universe, he was behind that. So you'd guess that he would have been a big heavy feature on that. So that's 3 big names that were all a part of the behind the scenes stuff for the Boneyard match. Weirdly, the Firefly Funhouse match also had 3 big names behind it, but they weren't any of those backstage names that you'd think of. Of course, Bruce Pritchard, who is the creative force behind SmackDown. A lot of people criticised SmackDown last year when he took over for Eric Bischoff. Over the past few weeks, it has been a lot better, and you can see his creative input really coming through. But apparently, he was the big force behind this Firefly Funhouse match alongside Bray Wyatt. We know they've been letting Bray Wyatt do a lot of stuff recently, creatively, specifically with his character. So, I mean, it won't come as a big surprise for people to know that he had a big say in his match, essentially. But apparently, what's came out is that Bruce Pritchard and Bray Wyatt put the initial match together, but John Cena then had his say on it. They gave it to him. He was like, I wouldn't mind making these alterations. Made a few alterations, and apparently the consensus is that the alterations they made were all pretty brilliant. And both of those bits of news came from my favourite wrestling journalist, Dave Meltzer.
It's intriguing for me to hear the Bruce Pritchard's name being associated with that match, because it does. Having listened to Bruce Pritchard and been to see something to wrestle with, he's a very kind of old school guy, and you wouldn't think that sort of stuff he would be into, you know?
No, I was very critical of his actual wrestling production because I said it for a while, SmackDown seemed like it was Raw before Paul Heyman took over, and it was really dull, and it was taking a lot of energy to get through. But the past few weeks, it's been brilliant. So I kind of guess, based on that, I guess you can't really say that, you know, he's not a great creative mind. So it's no surprise when you think of that, but it's a very different thing to put together a wrestling match to putting together what was essentially a cinematic, like, short film, I guess. So that's quite surprising. No surprise that Bray Wyatt was involved. And again, if anybody's seen John Cena's Instagram account, they'll know that he's a pretty wacky, bizarre guy. So no surprise he was involved. But Bruce Pritchard kind of took me by surprise on that one.
Yeah, no, listen, I think everyone will agree how good that match was. And, you know, I don't know who don't care who was involved in it. It turned out an absolute belter. And I have to say, you know, from what I've heard from the kind of watching interviews and listening to things, Bray Wyatt seems to be a very, very creative person. You can maybe see a future for him in the actual creative side of the business when his wrestling career comes to an end.
That's if they keep listening to when it's not his matches.
Yeah. And that's all the news we've got for this week. Gary, thank you very much for finding those stories. It's been a tough week for you, mate.
And I think it'll be a tough few months going forward as well. We'll see if anything comes out that I can actually do some journalism with in an interview, but I think it might be a tough time ahead.
Yeah, Dave Meltzer's shiting himself. So, welcome to Fantasy Booking Island. It's slightly harder to get to these days due to this travel restrictions, but we managed to get out here in a dinghy and we find ourselves on the island post-WrestleMania. And this week, I'm going to try and fantasy book the buried AJ Styles. Now, I feel like this is so proper. The last time we saw AJ Styles, he had his hand stuck out of a grave, and it didn't appear to be moving. He's gone. Now he's gone. This AJ Styles, for me, written off TV, okay? But Gallows and Anderson were still about. They just got thrown off of... Did they get thrown off of the top of the farmhouse?
One gets set on fire, and weirdly, I think it might have been Gallows, who I think played fake Kane before, in some weird twist of irony. But I think Gallows gets set on fire, and Anderson gets thrown off the roof.
Right, okay. Right, so... They're kind of partially injured, let's just say that, okay? So all three of them are written off of TV for a little while, but Gallows and Anderson come back to TV, but there's no sign of AJ. We don't know where AJ is. They don't know where AJ is. They have no idea. They've not seen him in weeks. They've tried to contact him. Can't find him anywhere. What's going on? Anyway, so Gallows and Anderson, they're like, well, listen, we've got to go as a team here. We don't need AJ. We can do it as a team. So they find themselves in the tag team title picture, pushing towards the tag team title against your boys, the Street Profits, Alex. So they are on Raw, aren't they? Yes, they are.
They are.
I'm just double checking. Gallows and Anderson are on Raw. So anyway, because that would have really fucked up this booking. So they get themselves to like, you know, we don't need AJ. We've done it before. We're the guys here. So suddenly they go on this, you know, they're getting over the tag teams. You know, they go over a few. They get to the Viking Raiders. They go over them. Suddenly they're set to go into a tag team title match at Extreme Rules. However, during these tag team matches, little funny things are happening in the build. So we're getting like lights flickering in the arena. We're getting kind of effects and images playing on the screen of symbols and things like that. Similar, I guess, to what's happening a wee bit on SmackDown at the moment, but strange kind of supernatural stuff's happening throughout this, okay? So we get to the title shot against Street Profits at Extreme Rules. But before the match, they're walking to the Gorilla, whole arena, backstage, front stage, everything, pure darkness. The whole thing gets shut into darkness. Lights come up. Gallows and Anderson are completely brutalized. Like, this is the most brutal thing you've seen on WWE TV since the Attitude Era. They're in bits, like blood, just absolutely lying on the floor, KO'd, right? One of the most brutal things you've ever seen in WWE. So anyway, they're hospitalized, you know, they're put in hospital for weeks. No one, there's a whole who did it thing. Nobody knows who did it. So on hearing this, Finn Balor comes back to the main roster and basically is going on a kind of detective hunt here. Comes to the ring, calls out, you know, from the back, right, whoever's man enough to come forward and admit to who did this. Lights go dark again. Lights come up. Big white lights on the stage. It's AJ Styles, but it's not AJ Styles as we've seen him before. If you think more Crow Sting, so kind of white, paint face, head completely shaved or in a Mohican or something like that. Big dark ring gear. Balor standing in the middle of the ring. You know, he's here to protect his hand. AJ walks to the ring, absolutely destroys Balor. You know, he's maybe got demonic tattoos on him. Grabs the mic. He doesn't blame the Undertaker for what happened to him. He blames Gallows and Anderson, and he blames Balor as well for, you know, we have some backstory with the club and all that sort of stuff. So this new AJ Styles basically destroys Balor, sends him to the hospital. So there's a match set for SummerSlam, and out comes Demon Balor against this new kind of Demon AJ, and we have this big showdown at SummerSlam, and there's probably some sort of interference as Gallows and Anderson make their return as well. But then I don't know where it goes from there, but I really like that match, so that's where I'm going to end it. Demon AJ versus Demon Balor. Yes!
The one thing I will say is you're booking the AJ Styles return a lot better than TNA did about 10 years ago when they tried to bring him back as Spike AJ. So
I thought we were going on a similar vein to that, where you were going to have the Phenomenal One just become the Phenom, and he would return as the Undertaker.
He's too small. He's too small. Yeah, I'd love to see AJ come back. I think his character, in WWE has been. It just feels a bit stale now. You know, the flip-flopped him between face and heel. And I'd love, you know, this is the opportunity to reinvent his character, much as they did with Sting, with the Crow Sting. I just think that kind of imagery or something like that. I mean, I'm not quite sure of the artistry and the creative, what he would look like, but something like some sort of demon-esque AJ. It's just a good excuse after what happened.
I've had a bit of a thought, John, which has actually changed my opinion, and I'm going to not book it because of the Fiend. It sounds too close to the Fiend. I think if you're going to have two supernatural characters on both shows, it's going to be too much. I think you're going to take the aura of the Fiend. I like the idea. If we take away the supernaturalness, I'm game. But I think going supernatural is going to be too close to Bray, and I don't think it'll be done as well as Bray. And that will hurt it.
Right,
The only reason I can't book it is because I don't like the idea of shaving off AJ Styles' soccer mum hair.
Vince will never let it happen because then
old AJ Styles' hair, if it grew back in, we don't want to see his hair again for what it was like in TNA. That's something nobody needs to see.
Oh my word, I can't believe
also, John, I have to call you a mark for referencing New Japan.
Oh, it's all falling to pieces. Oh no! All right, okay. So booking failure. Oh well, it was worth a go. So that's it from Wrestling Daft and Marks post Mania. It'll be interesting to see what the wrestling world has in store over the next couple of weeks. You know, this is usually the launch pad for lots of other things happening in WWE and wrestling around the world, but we shall see what happens. It's sure as hell will be a roller coaster ride as professional wrestling ever. My thanks, as always, to Gary Cassidy.
Thank you.
And Big Alex.
Sobered up.
Before we go, this week on the list of Wrestling Daft, Rab and Grado will be back with the flagship show on Friday at 3:16 as always. This week on the list of Wrestling Daft, guys, I put it up to the poll for our patrons. It was between... I can't even remember what it was between. It was between the greatest Scottish... Hold on, I might have to check this because I can't remember what the other one was. Yeah. It was between best matches to happen outside the ring off the back of the Firefly Funhouse match and the Boneyard match at the weekend, and the greatest moments in Scottish wrestling. Now, that was obviously off the back of Drew winning, which probably will be the greatest moment in Scottish wrestling, but I wanted to know the other great moments of Scottish wrestling, and it was actually the greatest moments in Scottish wrestling that won it. So, guys, you are both big fans of Scottish wrestling. Alex, come to you first. What is the greatest moment in Scottish wrestling?
I don't want to give it to him, but I think I have to give it to him. For me, it has to be Drew versus Grado at the SECC. I don't want to have to give it to him, but it's to me, it's it. You had the fans, you had the story, you had the big comeback from Drew. It was the culmination of like a year's worth of storytelling, and you also had like the ICW documentaries going on in BBC at the time as well. So it was just so much hype with a big payoff.
Yeah, I don't think Grado will disagree with you on that one. Gary, what was it for you?
I think anybody that doesn't say that is wrong, because I think that is the greatest one ever.
Oh, come on!
But I don't want to choose the same one as Alex. I think possibly, there's a few that'll just below it. Maybe Triple H appearing in an ICW ring, even what wasn't in Scotland, because that's a mental moment. I'm sure that was in Cardiff. Stevie Boy cashing in his Square Go contract. But I actually think
Mania. Oh.
But I'm actually also going to give it to Grado. I need to give it to him for the Gradoberg entrance. That's it. The Gradoberg entrance is going to be the best moment.
Oh God, you two! Wait till
that's why we're called the Marks.
Oh, wait till he hears this. Right, well, yeah, I'll disagree with both of you, because I work with Grado all the time, and I don't want to get him getting too big ahead. Though I probably would say that him winning the SCCC is it, but I'll go for actually Drew McIntyre making his debut on WWE as the Chosen One all those years ago, because I just think for Scottish wrestling, for everyone involved with Scottish wrestling, it was like, yeah, we can get there. And since then we've seen so many of the guys head up there: Noam, Wolfgang, the Coffees, Nicky, Viper. I just think for the whole Scottish wrestling industry, that was the moment it goes, yeah, we can do this too. I think it was Mark Dallas said on Twitter the other day, it's like Samoa, the centre of the best wrestlers in the world, Scotland, pass the bucky. It's like, take my bucky. So, it's, I'll go for that one, just so Grado doesn't get a big head. But listen, if you want to give Grado a big head, get us on Twitter. Tell us what your...
Watch your words, John. That could be very misconstrued.
Get us on Twitter. Let us know what your favourite moments are on the list of Wrestling Daft. It's the greatest Scottish moments this week with Fab and Grado. And like I say, that'll be able to download that at Friday at 3:16. At this point in time, we're hoping to have Steve Linsky, who is a referee who has loads of great stories and Grado knows. So we're hoping to have him on the show, and we'll have your Bury and Put Overs and all the usual banter on that. Guys, thanks very much for the marks this week.
Stay safe and wash your hands, guys.
Stay safe, wash your hands, don't go outside, watch wrestling.
Wear a face mask if you do. Listen to Boris. I hate to say it.
Listen to Boris. I hope he's still alive by the time this goes out. Cut that.
Audio Frontier.